This is the mysterious water world of the Philippines, Agusan Marsh, by the channel FEATR, maybe? 1 month ago.
Everything around you is alive. We live in a world where the palette is overwhelmingly gray on blue. If you're lucky, you get a sporadic smudge of green. Here, you can see the world breathe.
And sad.
Highways are replaced by streams, cars by canoes. Your eyes think that you're surrounded by land, but it's a trick. Underneath the growth, more water, a quiet resistance. You follow one path today, and by tomorrow, it's gone. There is no place in the Philippines that carries more mystery than the Agusan Marsh. Some people see these wetlands merely as ecosystems and important biodiverse areas. Others see them as big bags of cash, land to be turned into highly efficient farms. But a few people see them as a home.
Indigenous tribe?
And this is their story.
Part of the Marsh.
The Agusan Marsh Wildlife Sanctuary stretches across 40,000 plus hectares of wetlands, roughly the size of Manila. It's one of the biggest in Southeast Asia and one of the most vital in the Philippines.
A Ramsar site, globally recognized but barely talked about. It's all interconnected by lakes, rivers, marshes, and ponds. It acts like a giant sponge during typhoon season, absorbing floodwaters for the entire Agusan River Basin. Without it, who knows what would happen to neighbor towns like Butuan. It's home to rare birds, floating villages, and indigenous communities who've learned to live with the rise and fall of the water. But it's under threat. Pollution and climate change are slowly choking it.
Classic.
Life can not simply exist without the Agusan Marsh. The marsh protects everything here. When you talk of the Agusan Marsh, you got to take into account the bigger picture of the Agusan River Basin. Technically, that's the third largest river system in the Philippines, encompassing regions 11 and 13. That's Davao and Caraga. What you have here,
look at that
downtown, your catch basin. And come to think of it, everything revolves around this catch basin. They say that life begins here. There can never ever be an Agusan del Sur without the Agusan Marsh.
Okay. Kampugan, Pitland. I guess you have a stick to help you walk, but also like to see if it's not too deep.
Tungkod.
Datu Artemio was selected as one of the leaders due to his Lumad lineage. The Lumad are some of the first wave of people to settle in the Philippines, specifically around Mindanao. Their ancestral land is often highly sought after, making them one of the most vulnerable ethnic groups in the country. They are also one of the few groups that have held on to their pre-colonial culture. As in most areas in the Philippines where there is a strong indigenous ancestry, most people with roles to play in the community also happen to have official government positions. Datu was previously an LGU official, and now his son is barangay captain. They both lead the people in Kaimpugan and its peatland, one of the many parts of the Agusan Marsh Wildlife Sanctuary.
Beautiful music.
The relationship between indigenous religions and the Catholic Church is complex, marked by both historical tensions and reconciliation. Indigenous religions, often rooted in animism and oral traditions, are distinct from the Church's codified beliefs and practices. Just like when we were colonized, one culture doesn't usually completely erase the other. Parts of it are indigenized. So you'll find people praying to the Catholic God alongside other entities. Where people live with the land, these are still a common practice. Most of the people here are Catholic, but their own Lumad culture is still very strong, as it should be. These rituals are carried out to ensure safe passage and acceptance into the community.
Okay, makes sense to me.
What we have here within the Agusan Marsh Wildlife Sanctuary is the Kaimpugan Pitlan. The Pitlan, it covers just 3% of the Earth's surface. But according to the ICUN, they believe that Pitlan conserves 30% of the world's carbon, and that is twice as much carbon sequestered as compared to all the rainforests combined.
So a peatland is a kind of marsh then?
Conservation of wetlands is crucial because it mitigates the impacts of climate change. If it is damaged, it releases tons of CO2
I mean, again, it's
far greater than...
Like it's been said so much over the last decades that, you know, we need to stop messing with the Amazon rainforest, taking the trees and everything, because it does such a good job at, like, you know, regulating Earth and all that. But if it's only 10% and the peatland is 30%, you know, it doesn't mean we need to stop like protecting the rainforest. But I guess we need to also pay attention to this. Yeah, this seems super important as well. Then, if the stats are actually accurate.
Anything.
Ang tao rito sa amin, sa ngayon, nakukontrol pag nga kayo nandito na kami, nabantay na mo. Di palagi noon, nga yung tao, labas-pasok.
Okay.
In order to uplift and protect our wetlands, the Society for the Conservation of Philippine Wetlands mobilizes advocates across the Philippines and the world to facilitate conversations and pioneer technical assistance. Together with them is the Protected Area Management Office, or PAMO, which manages the overall conservation of the Agusan Marsh. One of their efforts includes marshalling volunteers across all communities to guard the marsh, birthing the fearless group called Bantay Danao.
But like, you guard it against what? Like, what is the threat to it? Like, can you even build anything in a marshland? Like, what is the main threat? I'm not sure I quite know.
Sa bata pa mi, sa adlaw nga wala mi klase, eskwela, elementary. Mani mi diri magdula-dula mi, mangwa mi bunga sa kahoy, nagkandis, maasim yan, kinakain namin. Makikita namin yung mga unggoy, mga amo, dito. At saka yung mga babuyas, at saka yung usa, dito. Kasi hindi pa ito, wala pa ito. Parang ano pa doon sa ano ba, sa ilalim ng kahoy. Pero ngayon, iba na. Eh, sa init, hindi pa magparehas ang panahon na tao nga umaabuso ba.
People never mind talking of climate change in its first inception. Before that Kyoto Protocol.
The Kyoto Protocol is an agreement binding developed states to diminish their greenhouse emission. The agreement is under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC.
Way back 2005, but people began realizing the true value of its protection because we had a number of extreme river flooding like never before. We had an extreme river flooding in 2014, followed by an extreme river flooding in 2017, and just recently in 2024, February 6 last year. By having seen it and experienced it firsthand, this Agusan Marsh serves as nature's kind of dam, protecting the adjacent localities on all those places downstream, more so Butuan City. Believe me, without the Agusan Marsh, there wouldn't be any place called Butuan City at all. People realize that we get to change something for the better. For if not, there would be far more extreme river flooding within Agusan del Sur.
I see.
Kining lugar na mo diri sa Pitlan, dako kayong area. So kami, mag-roving kami sa isang buwan, hindi na mamarag.
Yeah, I was gonna say like one of the previous drone shots, you could just see like everything stretching like as far as the eye can see and beyond the fog and everything. It looks insanely massive. It is kind of crazy.
Saber, dako kayong kalahian sa unas ta karon. Lahi-lahi na ang nagturok ng mga klase nga mga sagbot. Dili pareha sa una nga dito malayo ka pa, makita ka na. Kay ang baha may nagdala sa similya.
different seeds, yeah.
Galing doon, dalhin dito. Ito na, tumutubo na siya. Mas bugnaw sa una kung karon. Muna karon ang nahitabo ingon aning pitlan na mo nga naay problema kay tungod niya masunog. Kay sa una bugnaw ang panahon. Karon lahi nay 4-5 ka bulan diri nga init. So gamay problema sa kuan diri sa kalasangan. So tungod sa kainit, spark na siya.
Yeah.
Ito ang nasusunog. Pag mukrak yung maliit nga kahoy, parang mag-spark ba? Yun, sumisiga yan. Wala kami magagawa kasi kaabot kami dito, laki na.
I was gonna say, like,
na lang kami.
how would you even fight the fire in this marsh, no?
Kasi ang fireman hindi man makapasok dito. Yeah, okay, magdala kami ng pagpagan lang namin dito, pag susunog dito kami. Hinahampas lang namin, pero hindi na kaya kaya palibutan na kami ng kalayo. Dasal na lang talaga.
Experience is the greatest teacher of us all. Come to think of it, the Agusan Marsh is overseen by 6 localities as well. When you talk of the Agusan Marsh Wildlife Sanctuary, Talacogon is not alone. The LGUs
Rosario,
of San
Bunawan,
Francisco,
Loreto,
Rosario,
La Paz.
Bunawan, Loreto, La Paz engages
San Francisco.
in the protection and the preservation of the peatland. It is just a common thing that everybody is obliged to do their part because this is their way of life. This is our way of life.
I wonder, like, it seems like everybody's walking around in it and all that, not really scared. To me, it looks a bit like the Florida Everglade, where there's a lot of like gator and stuff like that, crazy snake and all that. Is it like a relatively safe area? Everybody's walking like sometimes without shoes. Like, to me, this kind of marshland thing looks like there would be a lot of like venomous snakes, spiders, insects, and maybe like crocodiles and stuff like that. Or maybe they're just not scared, I don't know. I guess if you just live there all the time, you just are used to it,
Padugang nakita ka po yung sini ipainom to bisita mismo ka namin na kinisingkasin agaw kanan sa wadya. Gugma siini apo.
Basta sa
Mismo na anadan ay
ngani tubig nga mga
tiba
sirena.
hinang nilang siini para lang kana kay kayagak nakita tradisyon nakita kalikat.
Whatever he said. I got all that.
Panlabuhan floating village is home to the Manoba tribe, families who've lived here for generations,
look at
moving
that,
with
huh?
the rhythm of the water. Their homes rise and fall with the marsh,
That's crazy.
tethered but never fixed. You've probably heard of floating villages before. You're picturing
Yeah.
houses on stilts, where the home is elevated enough that the water rarely touches the bottom. They are made to never meet. Not here. The houses are built on anchored floating bamboo platforms. When
I
a
see.
typhoon hits and the water volume increases, the houses and everything around them simply swell with it. The
Okay.
water level can vary as much as 10 meters and is highly unpredictable as the flooding season has become erratic.
So like, what happens if like your house suddenly is like transported in the middle of nowhere, right? Like, can you even move your house back? I'm guessing if you can get a boat through it, maybe you can like tie your house to the boat and try to pull your house back somewhere with the boat. But man, that's a crazy way to live. Like, if there's a flood, you don't know where your house end up, and then you just have to live there, I guess.
Sa ako lang ma'am, importante sa ako ang Agusan Marsh. Musulti kog tinuod dili nga duha-duha. Diri ko na tao. Kung way Agusan Marsh dili ko maminyo. Kay walay babae mo sugot sa mua. Kay walay may isaktong kayamanan. Ikapasigarbo namo sa mong asawa. Ang Agusan Marsh mo ni among kayamanan. Mauning bulawan sa mo ang akong ipakita sa akong pamilya, sa akong anak.
That's beautiful.
Ito ang lugar na tinatawag na wala kang boss. Ikaw lang ang boss dito. Ano ka ng pangisda, tapos pagkabukas, mayroon ka ng huling isda.
Yeah, so I guess the
Fishing
people
is-
living here, obviously, like, it's not like they go work in a city or something. Like, they're more or less survivalists. They live off the marsh, basically.
Life here. They set their fish cages in the morning, leave them for the day, and return at dusk, hoping that the river has provided. Once caught, these are dried for consumption and to be sold. They've also dealt with an increase of an invasive water hyacinth species that clogs their passageways into the marsh and harms their livelihood. Daily, they fight for their way of life.
Yeah, like those boats, where are they natural or
Marites Babanto,
is it
the
someone
local tour
cleared
guide,
it?
remembers a time when the marsh felt endless, but now it's getting smaller, drying up, and the storms are getting stronger.
Nung nagkamalay ako, mga 5-6 years, pinakamalawak pa talaga ito, parang dagat. Tapos, ang pinaka-memory ko yung nakikita ko talaga na parang virgin area pa talaga. Wala pang nasisira. Yung tubig malinis pa, mainom pa. Tapos marami pang isda. Kasi yun na time, nandyan pa ang mga ninuno namin.
Yeah, I mean,
The Agusan Marsh started making headlines when Lolong, the world's largest crocodile in captivity, was caught here. At 6.17 meters, he
So there's
broke
crocodiles.
records, and then just over a year later, died in a cage too small for his legend. But long before Lolong, this place was already home. Datu recalls that his grandparents fled here to hide from the Japanese soldiers in World War II seeking refuge in the swamps. Marites says her grandfather Lolo Pidong eventually decided to settle here, who came with their families, attracted by the peace and bountiful fishing the marsh provided. Their ancestors used to live in tree houses, but no matter how high the houses were, their dwellings always got swamped during floods and typhoons. That's when they had the thought of building the house on rafts.
man.
3 generations later, their descendants are still here. The times have changed. Their ways need to adapt to commercial interests, erratic weather, and outside influences. But this is still their home.
Humanap kami ng paraan na paano kami makikita dito, paano malalaman ang mga problema dito. Yun, nagsimula na orient kami ng tuklas katutubo balik tribo na dapat ipaglaban nyo
How big is the tribe
tribo
though?
nyo. Yung sabi na walang sinumang makatulong sa inyo kundi mismo kami. Kaya simula noon, narinig na nila, nakita na nila kung ano ang mga problema namin.
Kay ako usa ko ka IP.
Oh, this is
Naingon
cool.
nga ang IP way grado tu tinuod man tungod sa kalisod sa among pagpa-eskwela. Dili mi makalahutay. Ang hangyo lang nako sa akong kagalingon ang among mga kaliwatan. Makatungtong lang bisan elementary, makatungtong lang sa high school, importante lang makabasa lang. Kay lisod mismo ako kabahin dili ko magpakaulaw. Maglisod galing kog basag English, maglisod galing kog istorya ug unsa sa Tinagalog. Ang amo lang diha
I
hikapon
was gonna say, like, is he speaking Tagalog or is this a dialect?
alang namo ang mong kasing-kasing, importante lang maayo ka sa imong pagpuyo diri sa ibabaw sa kalibutan para di ka magkalisod. Kung walay simbahan, istorya na jud nako tinuod, murag mawala jud mig maayo sa among panguna-una. Munang dako na mong pagpasalamat una sa Ginoo, ulabi na sa mga tao nga nagtabang kay ang among paningabuhian murag nagsabay ra jud mi sa panahon.
Yung
Okay.
nakasira, yung soil erosion, climate change, inaabuso ng ibang tao. Pagkabaha, pag tumataas ang tubig, ang madadamage itong Agusan Marsh. Ang ibang lake dito, para ito na lang naiiwan, ang Kanimbaylan. Kasi yung dinaanan natin, yung Dagon Creek, ano lang yan, man-made. Pag tumataas ang tubig, lalo na yung Pablo, pasok lahat dito ang mga kahoy, lahat,
Yeah, I mean, it would be
lahat ng
one of the
basura.
mess.
Dahilan
Yeah.
yan ng pag-aabuso ng ibang tao. Kailangan, kung mayroon pang gawin, gawin na agad.
I mean, I think it's, it's fair to say, but I don't know if, like, even if every country in the world start taking climate change more seriously, the damage that has already been done, that has made it that, the world, like, we're getting so much more, like, natural disaster. I don't know if that can be reverted in a short time, right? Like, right now, this might be a problem that even if we did the right thing to revert it to how it was, it might still take, like, hundreds of years or something for the Earth to adapt and rebalance itself or whatever. So, yeah. That's my take on it, at least. It's sad.
So when you talk of climate changes, by all means, the national government has told us to do what we could, respectively, for the protection of the peatland or the Talakugon Lake. But even as we speak, the national government has yet to reconcile what would we be doing next so as to effectively secure these areas as a protected zone within the Agusan Marsh Wildlife Sanctuary. Nothing is permanent in this world but change. We just hope that people would recognize more, or people would be inclined more of its protection and conservation rather than exploiting it for commercial use.
But again, they haven't explained what exploiting and commercial use has there been on this place. Huh? Like what business is messing up the place and all that. Huh?
Pinakatatakutan namin dito na as a community is yung mawawala to. Kung aabot dito, lupa na to. Pagdating doon, lupa na. Takot talaga kami. Sayang.
Kung usa ka
Okay.
kadato, mahadlok ka magbinugoy. Murag mapil na ako. Kung usa ka kadato, usa ka ginikanan, muhatag sa imong anak kung maayong nga pagtudlo, maayong pagbuhat. Muna makingon ko, kung naapalay mapasahan sa katungdanan, akong ipasa kay ngano murag naatanan sa imo ang kabugaton, murag imo tanan ang sagot, imo tanan ang mga solusyon sa usa ka lugar. Pan makingon ko sa kong kaugalingon, tinuod man lisod, dili lisod kung naa ang usa ka community nga magtinabangan.
Okay. Wow.
People realize that there is far more to gain by protecting it rather than
These
exploiting
shots.
it. Without this Agusan Marsh, extreme river flooding would somehow inundate all of the localities here. So
I mean,
it is
yeah, this is a big
managed by
argument.
the DNR and the local government units as well, 6 of it. Now the PAMO serves as a foot soldier to check everything if all is well.
Parang improvement na. Kasi may LGU na yung sumalalay sa amin. Makatulong sa amin kung anong problema namin. So, ang LGU nagsabi nga nga, lagyan kami dito ng emergency nga water pump. Kaya para pagkasusunog, may magagamit kami. Kasi nakatraining kami sa rescue. Yun ang kailangan namin para maprotektahan namin ang area. Di bali wala sa amin, wala ito lahat. Sayang. Oh. So, yung sumusunod namin nga mga bata, wala, sabi ni tatay, mayroon daw unggoy dyan. Wala. Kasi inabuso na eh. May kailangan namin, protektahan namin ang pitla namin dito. Hindi namin pababayaan.
And it's always a completely
Sinasabihan
the same,
namin
right?
ibang tao dito nga sana
Like, you want to, you know, like, it makes sense to want to preserve a lot of the world, right? Not make things worse. But at the same time, you know, with the way the world population has exploded in the last 150 years, and the advance of technology, science, and all that, everything going at such a fast pace that, you know, like government and people have had like so little time to really care about like preserving things. You know, and then by the time you do, it's not absolutely too late, but you know, it's already like at a point where people seem to think like whatever, right? I don't know. I have never like looked too deep into climate change subjects. I just know like the broad points of it. But like in a situation like this, I don't know enough, right? It's like, you know, like on one hand I understand like it's a super cool place, and there's a small tribe and people living there, but like what can be done? I mean, I think again the problem with the video is that they haven't explained exactly like who's causing what problem. Then maybe I might have a better idea. Like it's just climate change overall, so like make countries pollute less, and maybe the heat will stabilize itself. That would be one thing. Yeah,
Huwag nilang masyadong
which is a big ask.
Hindi man sa lahat nga kami lang. Muna yung among pinaka-importante yun niya. Ang tanang tao diri sa barangay nabo, nakahibalutanan sa among pamalao diri. Bahin sa training sa among gikan sa PAMO, taga-Paso, ug sa LGU, sa Mindro ug sa Sinro. Kami taga rito, ayaw namin abusuhin yung
Yeah.
sa pitlan. Ano to eh, parang ikalima na kami nga ano dito sa galing sa mga ninuno namin. Parang sakit ba?
Which, like, if it was only that, it's like saying, yeah, this is a beautiful place and we've lived there for a long time. I mean, it's a right claim to make. But if it was only that, maybe they wouldn't have too much of a case. But they do have really a case with what was said earlier, how the peatland alone are like 30% compared to the 10% of the Amazon rainforest in, what was it, like absorption of carbon, was it? So that is like a big sell for why this place is important. So in the end, from what they said, like the government hasn't made this place some kind of like protected site or anything. Like official protected site, and no one should mess with it. I think it would make sense to make it a protected site.
Pasalamat mi sa taga Pamu na organize mi nga bantay danaw para maprotektahan namin yung kinaiyahan dito, yung pitla namin. Ayaw namin mawala.
Yeah.
That is why we got to contribute respectively for its protection. Well, God is still the greatest architect of us all. This land may seem idle, but everything has its purpose.
Gorgeous.
Sana lahat ng tao nakita nila ang halaga ng binigay ng Panginoon.
Okay, I mean, yeah, all I can say is hopefully this place is Fat Kid Inside Studio. This place is actually protected since it seems very important, not just for these people, but for the world, I guess, I mean, even if it's not a very well-known place, I guess it seems important for the world. So yeah, all I can say, obviously, is hope it's protected enough that it doesn't get fully destroyed. Yeah, all I can say, absolutely breathtaking place. So like this video, in terms of like the shot and everything, looked incredible, just so beautiful. Such a beautiful place. Here we go. Okay, well, that was a nice video. A few years ago, Prime Minister Modi and French President Macron were awarded with Champion of the Earth Award, UN highest environmental honor for climate-related exceptional work. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that about France. I mean, I guess I don't really know the situation if we pollute a lot or not. I guess we do a lot of nuclear energy, so that's probably something that helps with not polluting too much. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. And I guess pretty awesome of India to get that too. I mean, for such a big country, that is nice. So let's pat each other on the back. Let's go.